it's okay, but I'm still waiting to buy spot because what I do not like about this weekly USDT chart is that we respected this weekly trend, and we are now shifting back into range. We're closing back into range high. So what I don't like about it is that on the weekly, on the high time frames. So with that said, I probably will only start scaling into spot as soon as we sweep the next high at 6.5 or 7. That's when I'll start looking for spot entries. But I do have some limits, some very low limits on a few coins, with the expectation that we sweep 7. Now, one thing to note here is on the daily range, if we do break, so if we pump here, which actually slightly leaning towards, right, because we swept the liquidity on the CE here, and now we're closing back in range. Range balance is actually roughly 5.4%. So I would expect coins to basically give maybe a slight, go up slightly. But to be honest, though, if they go up slightly, even if they go up slightly and ever so slightly over the next, few hours, even if it's just a few coins, right? I would still be looking for high time frame shorts because the moment we close back in to the 5.3 level, we are confirmed right back into balance of this range. So even if we do pump in the short term, I would expect us to until we can, like here, I'll draw this off in the daily, right? So if we pump now and go towards 5%, the next thing I would look to do is to potentially look to short if we get back into the 5.3% on the daily or the 4 hour. But until then, I'm waiting on longs. Even spot buying, I'm not doing just yet. But yeah, so that's USDTD. Again, Monday, I don't really like trading on Mondays typically because of how the range builds on a Monday for the week. But what I would like to see again is I would like to see the sweep below 5.36. So basically a slight pump in the market. I'd like to see a slight pump in the market, and then a closure back above 5.36. So basically a dump in the market right after that. That would confirm that we are shifting trend to the downside for pretty much all coins, right? Because we'd be building a new higher time frame trendline liquidity up to 7. Because right now we're just going to chop around in this range. This is a very tight range. We're just going to chop around. The only thing that I could see us doing is if we reject the 5.3 and then start closing in this range on the daily, then I would be more willing to possibly start going into spot. But until then, this is still a little iffy for me, because we're already closing back in range here. So, and there's a very, very fat gap up here at the 7%, which I honestly think we're going to sweep into on the high time frame before we start to see like an actual real bull run, right? Because right now the current price action is just not, it doesn't convince me that this is the bottom at all. So I would like to wait until we get back above 7% before I start scaling into spot heavily. I have alert at 6.5 to do that. So going into Bitcoin, so yeah, Ferrer, I'll take a look at that as well. So going to Bitcoin, same thing here. As I was telling you guys before, if you were in my streams in the past couple weeks, I was bearish when Bitcoin was 70. I'm still bearish when Bitcoin is 55. As you can see, what kind of gives it away for me is the fact that even if we close this Monday range exactly where we are now, we're already below CE of the previous range, and we respected CE of this range. So really, all I could see here is one of two things. We break the Monday high, and then we still close right back under 56, like that. Or we just straight up just dump from here, right? Straight up dump from here. If we bounce Really the only level, like you got to think big picture here, right? The only level that I could see us bouncing would be the 45, 45 or 48, maybe not 48, but basically we need to go back into the 43 range. I'm not going to do limits at all for Bitcoin because as soon as we get back into the 45 range, what I would expect to happen is we go down to 40, and then if we can then claim 45, that would confirm that this would be the new range, and then this would be the new deviation, right? So we would need to see that sweep first before we get to that level. And right now, it's just not looking good enough for me to be convinced anyway. Oops. So hopefully that's expected. I will probably look for short entries, probably once we bump up to 58 to 59 again. I'd like to see this range taken, and then the closure below, that would be very, very clear. The closure below 56, I could do a tight SL here. Let's see, 4 hour. Yeah, tight SL here could probably be like basically at 60.5 even. But I'd probably want to play it by ear. So basically something like this I would want to see. Yeah, sorry, let me redo this. Something like this. I'd want to see, right? Where this is the new deviation of this range, and then we close back in range and then close below here on the weekly. And then I would take the short from that level, so the 59. So basically a bearish retest of 60, which we didn't really have yet. Yeah, we didn't really have yet. I mean, we went to 58, did not hold. Bearish retest of 60, that would align with USDTD. Then I would take the short from there back down to 40-ish. We got some smooth OBs here and then an inverted. So there's like really a lot of confluence down here really to see something. And then we have a bunch of equal highs up here, which are yet to be taken. So one of the things that I do find interesting with the Bitcoin specifically is how many equal highs we have on the fractals. So as soon as we start taking, we have one, I'll mark these out in green. We have one, we have two, we have relative equal on a lower time frame there, an incredibly high amount of liquidity right up here. So I honestly would not be surprised if we bumped up here. What could happen is we go right up to 73 or 74, and then as soon as we close back below 70, we just zip right down. Because of the amount of liquidity down up there, it has already been taken. As soon as we take it one more time, or maybe we can go up to like 675 or something, right? As soon as we take it one more time, we then just close right below, and then we zip right down, possibly. If there's internal range liquidity here that is yet to be untaken. So still very bearish on Bitcoin. And I think just in terms of Bitcoin dominance, I'll just lead into that real quick. It's playing into my high time frame chart that I mentioned to you guys earlier. The weekly has already broken down. I charted this back in April, and we already showed signs that it's breaking down. Like I drew these orange lines back in April. As soon as we close, right, this happened already a little bit, right? As soon as we close, and then reverse 54.8 on the weekly, then really this high time frame trendline liquidity will be confirmed in my mind, and we will see basically an extinguishment of liquidity, an extinguishing of liquidity on Bitcoin and transition to altcoins and Ethereum. So just kind of keep playing that at the high time frame because there's like so many levels of confluence here. We hit CE on the weekly twice. We have an SMR. We're closing back in range. We have a trendline liquidity, and then we also have untapped liquidity in the open side, all the way down to like 44%. So quite a lot of confluence here. That Bitcoin money is basically shifting out of Bitcoin into altcoins and Ethereum, etc. So checking out Ethereum as well. I had this drawn up a while back from this range. I don't like how close we are, right? This is the same thing, right? Even if we close exactly where we are right now on the weekly, technically the weekly has a few more days candles left. if we close this daily candle right where we are now, this is also very, very bearish. I would want to see one thing happen. Bearish on the short term, slightly bullish on the longer term. I can clear this up a little bit. The equal lows here, I'd want to see taken, but I'd want to see us build a range first, and then I'd go heavy. So weekly has a clean inversion down here. If I was to set a limit, I would probably use this blue. So I'll make that nice and thick, somewhere in the 2400 level. So I can just put this in 2400. Let's see, weekly. Yep, we got a CE down there. Let's see if we check this range here. Right, so roughly, yeah, roughly there. Yeah, there's another one down there as well. So honestly, yeah, basically between this range is where I want to see Ethereum in the short term. Longer term, I guess. I'd want to see us do a deviation, basically shift. If we do not take liquidity again, I'd want to see us shift right down to 2,300, and then close back above 27. If we can close back above 27, this would be confirmed the deviation on the daily. Then I would basically be willing to full port Ethereum for the all-time high at that point, because this would be an inversion at the weekly level as well. So weekly, looking at the weekly, we have 1, 2, we have 2 inversion, 3 invert, 4 inversions right there, right? So we have, I'll circle them for you, right? 1 and 2. And then we have another one right here. So 3, really. This all like lines up here. So basically the 2800, 2700 level, super high confluence, and then also the 2300 level, super high confluence. So as soon as we sweep down to these equal lows, we take those equal lows, take all the stops, take every single long stop. Long bias is diminished. Basically all longs are wiped off the board. Then we can shift back to being bullish after we then close above 2800 on the weekly. So ETH, very, very good. I'm actually looking I'm excited for this one, to be honest. I'm going to probably put an alert down here because as soon as we sweep that level, I'm going to start looking for longs at that range. And it would be a very, very high RR as soon as we sweep that level, because what will end up happening is we'll create an SMR here. We're looking for a double tap. So if we're talking market structure, if you guys want to follow along and try and play this yourself, you do not take an entry on the first wick. So what's going to happen is we're going to have a high time frame wick here. It's going to go down. It's going to try and basically take all the people that are high leverage longing, thinking it's the bottom, right? What we want to do is we want to wait for the second tap. So we go up 1, and then as soon as we then go up 1, and the second tap on the same range would basically be when you look for the bottoming aspect. So effectively, what we want to see is we want to see a lower low first, and then we want to see a higher low second. So basically, that would be your entry, right? If I was to circle it, roughly something like that. So I will keep that on the list here. I'll keep this chart drawing here as well. And then as soon as we get this, what I'm looking to do is I'm going to take this long and then bring it back up to all-time high, because that would be it would clear all long liquidity of the board. I'm looking for a weekly shift because this OB has not been touched. And also we have no more. After that point, we'd confirm this range. So because this was a previous range low or range high, right? Range high, we go into the previous range, we close above previous range high. That would confirm this as the deviation. And if that confirms this as a weekly deviation, then we are clear for all-time high after that point. Awesome. So yeah, I'm looking for that. Hopefully that helps. ETH is actually way more bullish in my mind than Bitcoin. But I do want to see this sweep first before I start going long. For now, I am short. I think I mentioned to you, or I might have mentioned to you guys at some point, I was looking for a ton short. I did get into that, thankfully. These are my levels I streamed to you guys, I think, like last week, and they hit. My average is roughly, I think it's like right here, 7.9. Yeah, 7.9. So I'm in the ton short, 7.9, stop, but already break even. And for this one, this is actually pretty clean as well, because we did already make a lower high. This is very, very clean because now we've shifted bearish. I would expect us to do a full retracement on the weekly, meaning my TPs are right now going to be, or actually, sorry, my TPs are 5 here. Yeah, 5 and 3.6. Yeah, 3.6. Because this is a weekly SMR. Honestly, I probably could even do 3.2. Because what we'd end up doing is we'd basically be making a weekly SMR here, right? Even if we do consolidate on the weekly, we'd have a deviation down there before we market structure shift back up. So pretty clean on ton as well. I'm pretty proud of that one. And then this is already pretty high RR. So I mean, my stop was up here, entry was right here, and TP's down here, right? So that's 18 basically already. Already risk-free, so already de-risked. So yeah, but honestly, if you are not in ton short, it is still, I would say, very much valid. There is entries to look for. That's respected, right? So honestly, if we entries to look for, you could use this tighter SMR here. So basically, probably could just use 8.15 or 7.62, and then scale in on. Oh yeah, because that was taken already. That was taken already. Wow, this chart is really looking like it's gonna fall over. Honestly, yeah. I mean, you could probably even do up here 7.3. I might do that even. I might just scale in again. 7.3 or 7.62. But yeah, maybe actually 7.8. It looks like it might tap again. So maybe to be safe, if we do wick back up to 7.8, it's likely that something like this could happen as well, before we then sweep down below, and chop around, right? So 8, 7.8, 6, 9, 7.62 also are all valid levels. But I do have my stop at break even right now. So I will probably scale in again if we do break this high, or sorry, break the Monday range and then close back below. But yeah, this is a good long swing, back down to 3.2. Awesome. So with that said, is there any questions, concerns, comments, any coins you guys want me to take a look at? I'll leave this open, and then we can kind of dig into any of the coins you guys have. Render. Okay, let's do render. Yeah, so render, I drew this, I think, Barrett, I think you mentioned render earlier. I'm a big fan of render as well. Very, very solid community. One of the thing is summertime, a dead season or choppy. Well, it really just comes, I wouldn't even say season based. I think it's just, this is the chart to rule them all. And I would highly advise, I challenge you guys to chart USDTD. This kind of just shows the crypto market as a whole, right? Where we're going. And as I mentioned earlier, we are stuck between two ranges. Not only did we sweep liquidity on both sides at 5.3 and 5.7, right, like between right here, the two teal lines, right, we've swept liquidity on, but we've also created a new range on this daily Monday range. So we are chopping. The closest liquidity now is like all the way at 4.6 or all the way at 7, right? So like, to be clear, like there's going to be some heavy moves, but what's going to end up happening is it's going to be the reversal. Like it's going to see, okay, it's going to go down, and I'd want to see like if we sweep the high time frame at 4.6. I would say like, okay, at that point, we're probably going to 7. However, what I would like to see is I would like to see us chop around more. I'd like to see us take the 5.35 first and then take the 7 first, because if we take the 7 first, there's less probability of us actually taking the equal highs at USDTD, and instead we would be taking the internal range liquidity down at the 0.04 on USDT, which means that we'll probably see the biggest crypto pump ever in history. But before that happens, and I'll warn you guys, before we see that, we're going to see the biggest crypto dump, maybe not the biggest crypto dump, but like a huge dump all the way up to 7%, right? Huge dump. This is basically meaning the entire crypto market's going to go, very, very low. And one thing I don't like about this chart is that it does have equal highs very, very close at these are the orange marks, right? All the way up to 9.5. This is the relative equal. So this time frame, and we're closing above this range, so I really don't like it. I could easily see this range being taken and then the 10% being taken before we then break back below. So like something like this on the high time frame where we go bam and then bam and then confirm that, and then the real bull market starts, where after that point we break this high time frame liquidity. Because as soon as we break this trend line here, that is when you will see the only up charts in crypto, when we break this line, because this is the magic trend line. Because after we break this line, the next internal targets basically like all the way down at 0.04%. Because, and that would mean that, yeah, everyone's crypto bags will be pumping. But I just don't like where we are now, because we haven't really confirmed this as a high time frame range. We break this range, we go to 10%, and then basically zero out everyone's portfolios. And I'm just like playing the hypotheticals here, zero out everyone's portfolios. And then when that happens, that'll be the last time crypto dumps before the golden age of crypto, basically. So just keep that in mind, right? When you see USDTD, where is it in regards to where everyone's bags are? So obviously, if you're playing any longs, make sure you risk manage. If you're playing any shorts, make sure you risk manage, because the market can do wild, unexpected things. And I just don't like how we have a bunch of equal highs right up here, and then this fat gap right here. So it kind of makes me a little worried even to get spot bags. I mean, I do have some spot bags, but like I'm only like 10 to 20% allocated right now still. And if green plays out, then I will be very thankful. But honestly, even if it doesn't, right? Just playing the hypotheticals, even if it doesn't, even if we just like go to 7 and then break back below, something like that, right? That's fully valid too. This would be orange would basically be another ideal scenario, right? If orange plays out, then that would mean that we'd also see another golden age of crypto. So yeah, that's just something to think about, going into the next few weeks, days, months, etc. But yes, going back to render, I'm also in a short TP for render. Yeah, TP. Honestly, I would just hold your short. Hold your short TP at 3 and 0.66 cents. I'll be honest with you guys. The charts show weekly inefficiencies all the way down to these. This is why I have these blue lines marked. They're not random, right? These are weekly inefficiencies yet to be filled, and they would match along with where everything else is showing, right? If we do consolidate here, we wick on the daily. Let's see the daily. The daily. We close under here. Then this is actually going to break these equal lows. So Here, let me redraw this. We have these equal lows, that orange that I drew out already. On the weekly, what else do we have here? We have open gap up here. We have a triple. 1, 2. We have one right here. So basically, yeah, basically this level here is the, so right around $10, roughly, would be the spot to TP if you're long. So basically, what I'd want to see is if the bull case is we break under 5.50 cents, and then we close back above 5.50 cents. That would be when I DCA. I wouldn't set limits. Again, I wouldn't set limits this close to this wide of a chart, because we broke back into the opening range on render. So this is very, very bearish for me. We did do this high, but again, what I could see is like something like this, right? We go up and then down, and then up and then down, right? Having just an incredibly wide range. Render is entirely possible where we do something like this, where we take this low at 5, right? And then we go right back up to 10. But then as soon as we take 10, go right back down to 2. As soon as we take 2, go right back up to 8. As soon as we take 8, we go right back down to $1, under $1, right? And then basically build this until we have a high time frame weekly market structure shift, where after we've taken all the internal liquidity, the only thing left on the chart, what I'd like to see is the only thing left on the chart is the external range liquidity, which would basically be the wicks of the high time frame exits for long or spot. So that's what I'd look for. And I mean, even though if you look on the yearly chart, right? Even on the yearly chart, like this is like, let's see. Yeah, no, that's not, never mind. I thought it was something else. No, but yeah, we took the high on the yearly chart. So this is also like iffy to me. But 6 months, yeah, honestly, there's a 6-month gap at $1, closing back in range of the first 6 months of the opening. So bearish still. I would wait on spot buys for render for myself. I myself will probably look to scale in on spot when we hit 66 cents or 40 cents. Then I will hold for the long term for $12 and $15 and then beyond. But yes, I will wait for that myself. That's just, I would rather just play it for the long term here. I also did what was it? Track, which is Oregon Trail. Origin Trail, Oregon Trail, Origin Trail, which is the I think I charted on Binance. Yeah, 23 cents. Yeah, so like this is a similar chart to have an SMR here. If we break through on this SMR, I would still see us rejecting on the previous range low. And until we can actually fill all inefficiencies on the chart. Once we start filling all inefficiencies on the chart, the same thing will happen, which is exactly what happened down here, right? Back in the 2023 for Phantom and a lot of the other coins, we fill all inefficiencies right down here, but you notice that this low here is actually not as low as this low. So if we make a new like a higher high on the next wick, that would be incredibly bullish, right? Because we've already made a higher high on the high time frame weekly for Phantom. So for macros here, just keep this in mind for your trades, guys. So Ondo, I'll take a look at Ondo. Ondo, it's still, I think you guys asked me about Ondo like a couple weeks ago, at least. And I think my bias is still the same. This green line, you notice I wrote this back in June. It's followed my green line almost perfectly. It looks like I would still look to short. This is a pretty clean short, actually, once we get to Ondo at 1.07. So on the daily, because this would be a daily SMR here, right? This is actually very clean. I really like this range. So this is pretty good. I'm going to set an alert. Thank you for calling this to my attention. I'm going to set an alert on Ondo short on the daily, because as soon as price goes back above $1.05, if we then tap $1.07 and then close back below, that is the cleanest short possible, because this range has already been respected, and we have one, and then two SMRs within a potential trendline liquidity right there. So the only other, and for those of you looking at it as a pattern, we then close below 1.5. Basically, what that would mean is this would be building a head and shoulders, right? A head and shoulders, and then on the daily, on the high time frame. So for Ondo, that would be the only bear case that I could see, right? Because we're already invalidating this order block on the weekly. So we take the high and then continue to invalidate this order block on the weekly. We are going all the way down to 25 cents on the weekly for Ondo. So I'm probably going to look to short, actually. So thank you for that. $1.05 I'll look to short for the high time frame. Looks good. Yeah. I would say the risk reward for shorting right now on Ondo is better than the risk reward for longing, because the only way I would say this is invalidated would be if we then start taking daily closures. So 1-day candles. We take 1-day candle closures above $1.08. If we consolidate in this range above $1.08, that would mean that this high time frame bearish thesis is invalid, right? And then we'd have another range built to the upside, because that's the $1.30 is the next target for the long there. So hopefully that helps there. But I will look for shorts once we reach the $1.05 to $1.08. But Eska, can I ask how SMR works in crypto? I heard about it in futures, but not sure how to use it in crypto. So yeah, I mean, I apply ICT concepts for SMR in any asset that has wicks with ranges. Any asset that has a chart can be traded with ICT SMC concepts. SMR is just one of the simpler concepts for ICT. All it means is that there's two wicks, that one is either higher than the other. It's just a higher high or a lower low, right? But what's different about it though, is that the range that it defines. So in this case, we have the clearer one on the daily for Ondo that we're looking at. We have the high, the previous highest high to the next highest high, is the SMR, only if we are back in the range of the previous highest high. And right now you can see that price is under 1.05, right? It's down here. So with that said, if we are to trade, this is just one type of confluence. If we're trading this SMR where we're basically back in range of this previous range, right? Another way of saying it, for those of you who've learned patterns first, this would be a head and shoulders, right? It's the same thing. An inverse head and shoulders is just another way of saying an SMR, or a head and shoulders is another way of saying it, and an inverse head and shoulders is another way of saying an SMR. So where we have this range created and then a third tap on the previous range high would mean that we have confirmed this as the SMR of this range. So basically the target would be the beginning of this range. So in this case, my first target would be 38 cents on Ondo, roughly 38.50. Yeah, 38.35. I'll mark these as green, right? So style green. So that would be where I look to start looking to scale out. But as soon as we confirm this, then that will also be where I look to start scaling in as well, right? And on the weekly, let's see, what do we have? Oh, interesting. Interesting. This is a daily. Oh, that looks taken. This candle. No, that's okay. Yeah, never mind. So this was inverted. That was inverted already. Okay. Weekly, what does the weekly show? Not much. Okay, what about 2D? Oh, interesting. Okay, we have an OB there that's respected for the most part. 3, 12. Now you guys got me curious. Yeah, so basically 26 cents would be the spot where I'm looking to buy Ondo again. Yeah, that's taken. Maybe possibly as low as 22 cents for the high time frames. This is a clean level though, right down here at the 26 cents roughly. So blue is where I'm looking to. Oh, and there's a weekly gap right there. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So, yeah, that's a weekly gap untouched. Oh, that's really nice. So this would be the next level to look to scale into Ondo. If I was to do spot, I would be looking for spot at the 26 and 22 cents. But as soon as we take the 22 cents, if that is supported as the SMR, we're actually going to see a bigger move for the second leg. So usually this is the first, really, if you're counting on the weekly, this would be the first leg, right? The second leg is always usually twice the size of the first leg. So could see as high as like $2.50 after we get back down to 22 cents first. So again, we need to clear all bias, right? Clear all bias on the board, clear all liquidity of longs before price can start to see inefficiencies on the short side. So when people are basically in despair and no one wants to buy anything, that's when the market will decide to move up very dramatically and make sure that all the shorts are crushed. But until then, right now we are still in a very choppy, iffy range. So this is my high time frame for Ondo. I will wait for it to get down to 26 cents, and then I'll aim for $2.38 as my or my two selling points, probably $1.30 and then $2.38. Excellent. Any last coin requests before we head off here? And hopefully, Eska, that answers your question as well. Costs. Yes. So I had cost drawn up for you guys earlier. As you can see, it followed my path pretty nicely. Just a little, went up, went down. I'd expect it to continue following my path here. At this point, if we wick up a little bit more, I want to see this range invalidated continuously. So we invalidate this range, we break below. My high time frame buy at CAS is under 10 cents. So I have this circled down here because this range has 1, 2, 3, 4, no, maybe not as much, 1, 2 SMRs here, right, to the downside, meaning we're already back in range on the high time frame. So price is exhausted effectively. I would want to see us maybe probably taking 12 cents, 12.38 first. So still looking for shorts here, 12.38 before consolidating and possibly doing a high time frame sweep. One thing I do really like with this cost level is we got a quadruple equal low down here. This is so clean. So as soon as this liquidity is taken, those people who have stops there, who have the lack of insight to realize that this is actually a market maker model that puts them as stops, saying like, oh, this is a double bottom, let's put my stop here. Well, guess what? That just means that your stop will be taken. So the fact that this is why I mark this green is basically I am not touching any longs or spot on costs until we break the 10-cent level. So I want to see those stops taken. As soon as those stops are taken, we close right back above 10 cents. Actually, that would be when I look to then pick up some spot. Oops, I have so many alerts already. I'll have to set that later. But 10 cents is my next range. So we break 10 cents. And then we probably go back up. At that point, I'm not sure how far, depending on how the yellow structure is built. I would go from there. But in terms of the weekly, though, if we do break the 10 cents and we fail to close back above 10 cents on the weekly, then we are going all the way back down to like 4 cents. So same thing here. This is, I mean, I can't, if for for those of you trading patterns, like I can't even get more clear than this, guys. Like this is a broad, wide rising wedge, right? We get this rising wedge, and then effectively this is the most bearish pattern on the high time frame possible. So really, we consolidate up here. Maybe we go to 21 cents, but I would expect us to uh, go down heavily before we see a new all-time high. Maybe a little bit, maybe 20 cents, but I'm not too optimistic with costs right now, with where it's at. But cool. Yes. Thanks for joining. Hopefully that's insightful. Feel free to hit me up on DMs if you guys have any questions. Always happy to help, or tag me. And have a good Monday. Remember, the Monday range is still being created, so keep an eye out for where we break first on the candle. So have a good rest of your day. Happy Monday. Stay green, and don't worry, there will be amazing times ahead. This is just choppy crypto movement right now. It's just not even fun to trade in. Recommendations, Eska? Yes. I mean, personally, I would just say look through the 2022 mentorship, ICT mentorship. Very good stuff on there. If you can sit through it. Otherwise, there are others. If you just search like ICT concepts, there are plenty of resources out there. I'm sure your Google flu is enough. But yes, hopefully that's helpful. Hit me up on DMs too if you're curious. I can give you. Have a good one, guys. Happy rest of your week. Stay green.